اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. خل المقادير تمضي لا تغالبها، فإن من غالب الأقدار مغلوب. إن القضاء لسيف لا يقاومه شيء من الخلق إلا وهو محبوب. وامشي رويدا مع الأقدار في مهل، فإن من يكره الأقدار متعوب. سلم وفوض لحكم الله محتسبا، فإنما الأمر مقضي ومكتوب. والله يقضي بما شاء وكيف يشاء، والعبد عبد ومخلوق ومربوب. ولم يزل ربه الرحمن يكلأه، باللطف والحفظ محفوف ومصحوب. حسن ظنونك بالرب الكريم، ولا تسيء ظنا فتبقى عنه محجوب. واعمل لنفسك أعمالا تسر بها، فكل ما يفعل الإنسان محسوب. إن كان خيرا فخير سوف يحصده، أو كان شرا فتنكيل وتعذيب. يا ويل من ضيع الأعمار في زلل، وكل من كسبه الآثام والحوب. واطلب علوما مع إقبال مع عمل، فأنت بالعلم والأعمال مطلوب. واحذر زمانك هذا إنه زمن، به المناكير شاعت والمعايب. فكن وحيدا فريدا خاملا حذرا، فإن فيه الأقاويل الأكاذيب. والظلم فاش بلا لوم ولا نكر، وللمساكين تخويف وترهيب. فكن لبيتك حلسا لا تفارقه، إلا لشيء له في الشرع تصويب. واذكر إلهك ذكرا دائما أبدا، فالذكر بالذكر مقرون ومصحوب. وذاكر الله يجالسه، فاجلس مع الله تأتيك المواهب. واطلب من الله ما تحتاج أجمعه، فالخير يا ذا لديه والمطالب. لا تسأل الله كريم الوجه خالقنا، فعنده الفضل والإحسان مسكوب. واعكف على بابه في كل ما نفس، فإن نسيانه يا صاحبي حوب. وكن أخي بحبل الله معتصما، فكل حبل سواه فهو مقطوب. واسلك على سنة الهادي تفوز، وفي أولاك ترضى وفي أخراك محبوب. ففي اتباع النبي الخير أجمعه، عليه منا صلاة ربي يدوب. تغشاه والآل والأصحاب أجمعهم، ومن لمذهبهم في الخير منسوب. والحمد لله رب العالمين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله سيدنا محمد وارض عن الصحابة أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, we begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity for us to continue in our lesson in Muqaddimah Hadramiyyah. And we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this lesson a reason where our sins are forgiven, prayers answered, inshaAllah ta'ala. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. We have entered into the chapter of zakah, and in our last lesson we spoke about the zakah of animals. So the author began by speaking on the zakah of livestock, and the zakah on animals in Shafi'i madhab is only restricted only to three types of animals: camels, cows and goats. So these are the three types of livestock or animals that it is compulsory upon us to pay the zakah with all the conditions that we mentioned. Other than these three animals, zakah is not compulsory. So for example, if a person has chickens, there is no zakah on chickens. Ducks, there is no zakah on ducks. So this is basically when we say there is zakah on camels, meaning we have to come out camels as zakah. This is what we meant by zakah on these three types of animals. We have come towards the end of the zakah on animals, where the author at the end speaks about some conditions. Inshallah, we go back into our book and we will see those conditions, inshallah. So we have come to the part where he mentioned faslun wala yajuzu akhdhul ma'ibi min dhalika. So when it comes to paying any of the zakah, when we are obligated to pay, for example, a camel, bintu makhad or bintu labun or jaza'a or hiqqa, all these are names as what we mentioned based on the ages of the camels. So bintu makhad, if a person has 25 camels, after 1 year, then it is compulsory upon him to pay bintu makhad. So this bintu makhad cannot be ma'iba. Ma'iba meaning there is it is afflicted by a form of disease or something that it decreases the meat of the animal. It is not permissible. It is not permissible for us to pay zakah with animals that is afflicted by ailments or afflicted by certain disease, or animals that are blind, or animals that doesn't have a body part like any of the legs is missing. This is the meaning of ma'iba. So he mentioned illa idha kanat na'amuhu ma'ibatan kulluha, unless if all of his animals are of the same, meaning, for example, there is a calamity that befalls and it struck all the animals, for example, is afflicted by a certain type of disease due to natural disasters, for example. If that is the case, then it is forgiven. If that is the case, then that is forgiven. If all the animals are sick, then it is permissible to give one of the sick animals, and this is in a case where all of the animals are afflicted by a disease. ولا يجوز أخذ ذكر فيما تقدم إلا إذا كانت كلها ذكورا. And likewise, it is not permissible to pay the male from the animals, unless if all of his animals are males and he doesn't have any females. That is an exceptional case. Otherwise, it is compulsory upon him to pay, as what we mentioned, the females, and especially when it comes to the camels. وَلَا أَخْذُ صَغِيرِ إِلَّا إِذَا كَانَ صِغَارًا. And likewise, it is not permissible to give صغير, an animal that is small, unless if all the animals are small. وَلَوْ اشْتَرَكَ إِثْنَانِ مِنْ أَهْلِ الزَّكَاةِ فِي نِصَابٍ وَجَبَتْ عَلَيْهِمَا الزَّكَاةِ. So now the author speaks about sharika. Sometimes the animals is owned by 2 and more people. For example, 2 person, they combine wealth, so they want to do trading. So for example, Zaid has 40 sheep, Hassan has 40 sheep. Then they make the aqd of sharika. What is the aqd of sharika? They make an agreement between themselves that they are going to combine their sheep. They are going to combine their sheep. for the intention of business. So in this situation, when comes to the obligation of zakah, we say now instead of 40, now it becomes 80. So we ask the question, if a person has 80 sheep, what is the zakah for a person who has 80 sheep? You see, if we separate 80, 40, now the minimum nisab for sheep is 40. So if it is separated, meaning it is compulsory upon Zaid to come out one sheep, Hassan to come out one sheep. But if you join 40 and 40, it becomes 80. The zakah is only one sheep and not two sheep, because now it becomes a joint venture. Now it becomes a joint venture. Today we say the word sharika, it can be meant as joint venture. So why we say joint venture for Zaid and Hassan? What is compulsory is for them is to pay one sheep, whereas if you to separate 40 and 40, if there is no joint venture, if every person we mention as individually, Zaid and if it's 40 sheep, Hassan if it's 40 sheep, then the zakah will be two sheep, meaning one sheep for the first 40, one sheep for the second 40. But because of the contract of sharika, now it becomes only one sheep, because the zakah of sheep, the minimum is 40 until 121. Correct or not? Until 121. So the author here mentioned wala wishtaraka isnani, two person combined partnership, have a partnership in owning the livestock. Min ahli zakati fi nisabin wajabat alayhima zakah. Wajabat alayhima az-zakah. Both of them has to pay the zakah. So it depends on how much that they possess. So now it becomes it becomes one count instead of two counts. Then the author mentioned faslun wa shurutu wujubi zakat al-mashiyati mudiyu hawlin kamilin mutawalin fi milkihi. Now the author speaks about the conditions on the obligation of the zakah of animals. So number one, there must be howl. وشروط وجوب زكاة الماشية مضي حول كامل. حول كامل meaning حول كامل and meaning 1 year. 1 year Islamic calendar. So after 1 year has passed, so maybe I give an example. Now for example, a person has 5 camels. 5 camels. He has 5 camels in the first of Shawwal. First of Shawwal. Next year, first of Shawwal, he still have 5 camels. Tamam. This is what we meant by having the number of camels for hawlin kamilin for 1 year. Now it is compulsory upon him to pay 1 sheep. It is compulsory upon him to pay 1 sheep, and because of the howl. But if a person has 5 camels, and then the next year he has 4 camels, and one of the camels, for example, and he slaughtered or he gave away, now there is no zakah. There is no zakah, because why? After the howl, the nisab decreases, so there is no zakah. Illa fin nitaj fayatba'ul ummahati fil hawli, unless it is nitaj. Nitaj are the what you call it, basically the what do we say? La ilaha illallah. Wait. This every animal has the name for the children. So for example, maybe I give you the example. Now for example, a person has 24 camels. Tamam? 24 camels. A person has 24 camels, and then one of the camel give birth. This is called nitaj. Nitaj meaning the new camel that is born. The new camel that is born. Do we take into consideration this new camel in the nisab, or we do not take into consideration? The answer is yes, we take into consideration. We take into consideration. So if one any of the camels and he give birth, he becomes how many? He becomes 25. Now it is compulsory upon him to pay bintu makhab. It is compulsory upon him to pay bintu makhab. Now, because why? At the end of the howl, how many camels and he has? 25. He has any 25. This is the meaning. This is the meaning. Anyway, when he say fin nitaj yatba'ul ummahati fil howl. Yatba'ul ummahat. Yani the mothers, the mothers any of these animals and he gave birth. Gave birth any to new camels. So we take into consideration the new camels any in the nisab. We take into consideration any the new camel any in the new camels any in the nisab. Naam. So he said, illa fin nitaj fayatba'ul ummahati fil howl. So I hope it is clear inshallah. Because sometimes, imagine you have animals, Imagine you have animals. Sometimes the animals produce. There are people, for example, in the beginning they have 5 sheep. After 1 year, 20 sheep. After 2 years, 30 sheep. After 4 years, 40 sheep. So now, if the nisab comes, we take into consideration the children that are born in that year. So meaning we add the newborn to the number. We add the newborn to the number. So when comes into the end of the howl, so we determine how many, including the newborn. Clear inshallah. Including the newborn, how much is, how many is the number of animals that we have. So we have to take the newborn into consideration, although the newborn does not complete one howl. Can we see this? Although the newborn does not complete any one howl. So example, simple example, for example, a person has 40 sheep. A person has 40 sheep. Or we say a person, just now I gave example, a person has 24 camels, correct or not? A person has 24 camels. By right, how much is the zakah? By right, it is 4 sheep. By right, it is 4 sheep. But at the end of the year, there is nitaj. One of the camels, for example, gave birth to one camel. So now how many camels now? 25. So 25 he must pay bintu makhab. Clear inshallah. So the author mentioned this is an exceptional case. Although the newborn does not reach 1 year, it is born in that year. It is born in that year. Illa fin nitaj fayatba'ul ummahati fil howl. It follows the count of the mothers. Wa antakuna sa'imatan fi kala'in mubah. Now this is important for us to take note. And this condition is important. When come into the zakah of the animals, it must be sa'imah. What is the meaning of sa'imah? The meaning of sa'imah is that these animals, they are not given any food from the owner. They are not given food by the owner. They are left in the wild, in the pasture. So imagine if you have 40 sheep, and you live in New Zealand, and then there is a vast land. So every day what you do, you let your sheep graze in the pasture. This is the meaning of sa'imah. Clear? There is a difference in commercial farming nowadays. Commercial farming, they put all the sheep in the what do you call it? What is the term they call it? They put all the sheep in the like the pen, and then they feed the sheep daily. So this is not sa'imah. This is mu'allafa. There is a term they call it mu'allafa bil ain. Mu'allaf meaning it is given alaf, yani the food of the animals. But if sa'ima, yani a person let loose the sheep. A person let loose the sheep. Fi kala'in mubah. The second condition, it must be kala'in mubah. What is the meaning kala'in mubah? Meaning the pasture is not owned by anyone. The pasture is not owned by anyone. This is the meaning of kala al mubah. So in this any situation, and if the person does not pay any money to give food any to the sheep, because he let any the sheep any graze any in the open fields, then we say this is the condition of the obligation any of zakah. But if a person feeds any the animal with his own money, there is no obligation of zakah. So this is any the condition, and we say the condition of sa'imah, whether the sheep is sa'imah or not sa'imah. Clear insyaAllah. Wa an yakuna sawmu minal malik. As-sawm, what is the meaning of sawm? As-sawm is basically grazing, the grazing. It comes any from the owner. It comes any from the owner. فلا زكاة فيما سامت بنفسها أو أسامها غير المالك. If the animals any graze any by themselves, there is any no zakah any for towards any the owner. There is no any zakah any from any the owner. So here any the author any mentioned any there is a difference. If the owner any himself do any the grazing, then zakah yani is compulsory. But if not, any zakah yani is not any compulsory. Likewise, any if it is done any by other than the owner, zakah yani is not any compulsory. Then the last thing any the author any mentioned, wa an la takuna amilatan fi harsin wa nahwihi. Another condition any that says that there is no zakah yani on the animals if it is amila. Amila meaning if a person use the animals any for work. Last time any they use the cows any for plowing any the land. So this is an example any amila. These animals any are used any for working. So in this such situation, there is no zakah. Naam. So these are some of the conditions any on the obligations any of zakah. So let me give some more examples any to be clear. You see, the thing is, when a person any has animals, there are two situations. Either we say that he is the one any who give the food any to the animals, or he let any the animals any graze any into the open fields. If he gives any the animal the food, then there is no zakah. But if he let any the animals go any in the open fields, then zakah yani is compulsory. So here yani we say this is sa'imah. This is any considered to be any sa'imah. If the owner yani gives any food, and at the same time the animals any also go out yani grazing by themselves, we say in this situation there is no zakah. Correct or not? In this situation there is no zakah. Because why? The food is given any by the owner, and the animals they graze by themselves. Or the owner gives food any to the animals, but other than the owner is the one any who let any the animals graze any in the open fields. Likewise any there is no zakah. Clear inshallah. And lastly any he mentioned, if any the animals any is amila, that is used any for working. So by this any alhamdulillah yani we have completed the part any of the animals. Is there any questions any so far? Everything good inshallah. So this important in Arabic and we call it shartu sawm bisin. Shartu sawm. Sawm any meaning grazing. And the obligation of zakah for animals is that as-sawm, that the animals any are let loose to find their own food. So now it is important for us to understand why there is no zakah. Why there is no zakah if a person gives food to the animals? Logically we can understand, correct or not? Why? Because if you have animals and you give food any to the animals, you have to come out your own money to give any the food any to the animals. But if you let the animals graze, you don't have to come out any money. The animals any graze, and the animal depend any on the food in the pasture. So as the owner, you do not come out with any money. Unless and if you come out money to give food any to the animals, then zakah is not compulsory any upon you. Tamam? So this is any the thing any that we have to understand. Aywa. Sometimes the owner gives food at the same time any he let any the animals graze by themselves. Or sometimes any the owner any gives food, but other than him is the one any who let the animal any graze. This is what basically the author is giving us any situations. Aywa. So by this any inshallah we will any go on any to speak any about the zakah on plantation. The author any mentioned babu zakatin nabat. So we have completed on the zakah any of animals. So now any we are going any to speak any about zakat any on plantation. The first thing the author mentioned, la tajibu illa fil aqwat. This is the madhab al-Imam Shafi'i. Please take note. Different than the Hanafi madhab. In the madhab al-Imam Shafi'i, la tajibu illa fil aqwat. What is any the meaning of aqwat? First thing any we have to understand aqwat any in our language we say staple food. Staple food. So now anyway we ask any the question, what is a staple food? In Singapore, rice any is our staple food. In other countries, wheat any is a staple food. So these are the two types any of food that are considered any to be staple food. When it comes to fruits, there are only two types of fruits, tamar and inam. So the author yani mentioned minas thimari ar-rutabu wal inam. From fruits and there's only two types, ar-rutab wal inam. And then yani from the seeds, yani from grains, min al-hab al-hintatu wash-sha'iru wal aruzzu. So he gave an example, hinta yani sweet, sha'ir bali, aruz rice, wasa'iru ma yuqtatu fi halil ikhtiyar. Yuqtatu fi halil ikhtiyar. What is the meaning yani yuqtatu fi halil ikhtiyar? Yani meaning not famine, not at the time of famine, because at the time of famine everything and it becomes staple food. Even chili and it can become staple food, and if people do not have anything to eat. But here the author mentioned fi halil ikhtiyar. Halil ikhtiyar any like our situation today. For example, we are now in halul ikhtiyar, meaning now you can choose, correct or not, what food you want to eat, whether you want to eat rice or you want to eat wheat. So now when we ask in this any situation, what is our staple food? Our staple food yani is rice. Some places wheat and so on and so forth. Wa nisabuhu khamsatu awsuq. And the what do you call it? The nisab yani is 5 yani awsuq. It is 5 awsuq. Yani in our other class yani we did calculation, correct or not? In Fathul Mu'in also we spoke about this. What is any the weight any of khamsatu awsuq. So I put any a note there. It is about any 653 kilograms. 653 kilograms. So basically any if a person harvests, then any he does the weight. Look at the weight. So for example, if you are harvesting any rice, so the rice any itself, how heavy any is the rice? If it reaches any about this weight 653 any kilograms, then any we say zakah any becomes any compulsory. Zakah any becomes any compulsory. So this is any the nisab. The nisab any for zakat on plantation. So anything that is less than khamsatu awsuq, it is not wajib. So if a person any has a small plantation and the harvest any is maybe 10 kilo, 20 kilo, all these things any we say no zakah. 100 kilo no zakah, confirm. 200 kilo no zakah. Now, so this is any the nisab. Then he mentioned kullu wasqin sittuna sa'. Now we can make any this calculation. Kullu wasqin sittuna sa', 60 sa'. Wasa' arba'atu amdad. Sa' yani is 4 mod. Sa' yani is 4 mod. Yani 1 mod and is about 600 grams, 650, 700 grams. This is any 1 mod. So 1 sa' yani is about we put any 2.5 any to place it. 2.5 kilograms. Taib, 2.5 any kilograms. How many we have to times? we have to times any 60. We times any 60, we get 1 wasak. Then we have to times 5. So that is any basically the calculation. Wa yu'tabaru dhalika bil kail. This is important. I think last month somebody asked any about this in a WhatsApp group in Fatul Mu'in. Because moon in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is bil kail, not wazn. This is something that we can ponder. When we say 1 moon, is it weight or measure? The answer is measure. Here the author mentioned bil kail. Bil kail. What is any meaning of measure? Yani 1 moon and is basically when we take our handful. Handful and is measure. So how much any is the weight? So the weight and is an estimation. The weight and is an estimation. So he says wa yu'tabaru dhalika bil kail. So here it is something important that we have to know, because the density of different staple food is different. Correct or not? When we take measure into consideration, we understand that the density of these staple foods differs. For example, 1 handful of rice is different than 1 handful of wheat. This is the challenge now. So which staple food are we talking about? Which staple food are we talking about? So if you are a farmer and you grow wheat, for example you have a wheat plantation, this has to be ascertained. How much is 1 mod of wheat? How much is 1 mod of rice? From there we can make the calculation, because it is not the same. It is not the same. So the author mentioned wa yu'tabaru dhalika bil kaili tamran aw zabiban in tatammara aw tazabbaba wa illa farutaban wa inaban. So now we have to do the measurement. Likewise he say when comes to tamar, when comes to zabib, raisins, dry dates, then we have to ascertain how much is 1 mod, how much is 1 sa', how much is 1 wasak, how much is 5 wasak. From there we can know whether it reaches the nisab or does not reach the nisab. Wa illa farutaban wa inaban. If you are unable to have all the dates to be dried, then we can look at the wet dates. We can do the calculation on the wet dates. Meaning these wet dates, if they dried up, how much is the weight? How much? If these dates were to dry up, how much is 1 mud? How much is 1 wasak? So from here we have to do all this calculation to ascertain how much is our harvest, whether our harvest reach the nisab or does not reach the nisab. Wa yu'tabaru al-habbu musaffan min at-tabin. When comes to grains, we have to take into consideration when it is separated from the cover. For example, rice, they have this husk. They call it one husk. This is the meaning of tabin, the cover. So now when you weigh the rice, you weigh the rice with the husk or without the husk. Here the author mentioned wa yu'tabarul habu musaffan min at-tabin. Musaffa, meaning we have to take into consideration rice that is separated from the husk, wheat that is separated from the husk. This is the thing. Wala yukammalu jinsun bi jinsin. If it is different types, we do not combine. So for example, if you are a farmer and you have rice plantation and wheat plantation, can you add rice and wheat together under one weight? Cannot, because these are 2 different entities. These are 2 different entities. But if you are a farmer, for example, you have basmati rice plantation, you have harmony rice and plantation, you have these different types of rice. When you harvest, do you combine or not combine? Yes, and you combine, because it is the same entity, although they are different types. But if it is a different entity like rice and wheat, we do not combine rice and wheat. Rice has its own nisab, wheat has its own nisab. So this is the difference between jins and now. Jins any we can translate any as entity. Now any we can translate any as types. Now, ولا يكمل جنس بجنس وتضم الأنواع بعضها إلى بعض. But the types any are combined. What is the meaning of types? Any, for example, just now I give an example of rice. Rice and you have different types. Basmati, harmony, all these are types. But it is under one umbrella. One umbrella any of rice. But when comes any to wheat, barley, rice, these are different jins. So we cannot combine them. وَالْعَلَسُ إِلَى الْحِنْطَةِ وَالْعَلَسُ إِلَى الْحِنْطَةِ. Alas any is a type any of grain, of type of wheat. So it is combined any to wheat. This is any a type. وَيُخْرَجُ مِنْ كُلٍّ بِقِسْطِهِ إِنْ سَهُلَ وَإِلَّا أُخْرِجَ مِنَ الْوَسَطِ. So now if a person and he has many plantations, he has a lot of plantations. For example, he has basmati rice, harmony rice, and all these things. The best is when we pay the zakah, we pay the zakah from each of these types. We pay the zakah, the khamsatu, what do you call it, the zakah, the 10% or 20% of the harvest. We take some from the basmati, some from the harmony, some. This is the best. When we pay our zakah, if that is possible. If not, we take the middle. We take the middle, middle in terms of the quality. If a person has basmati and harmony, it is not necessary that he pay only basmati, because basmati is expensive. So we can take the middle. We can take 50% any basmati, 50% any harmony. Tamam. So this is the meaning of wasat. We take the middle. So Islam does not oblige that we pay the most expensive, and it is not also permissible to pay the lowest of the low. But what is compulsory is to pay the middle. But if it is best, if we can pay every types a part of the zakah, that is the best, so that the poor can taste the wealth of the rich. وَلَا يُضَمُّ تَمْرُ عَامٍ إِلَى آخَرٍ. So now harvest depends on year. So the harvest of this year is not combined into the harvest of next year. وَكَذَلِكَ الزَّرْعُ. Likewise the plantations. وَيُضَمُّ ثَمَرُ الْعَامِ وَزَرْعُهُ بَعْضُهُ إِلَى بَعْضٍ. So now if the harvest, everything is within the same year, then it is combined. But if it is different years, then we do not combine. Wallahu a'lam bis-sawab. So I hope it is clear, inshallah. Because when you speak about year, sometimes we have season. All these plantations season. So for example, when it comes to dates, for example, dates usually in the summer. In the summer, the harvest is in the summer. So now when we harvest in the summer, then we calculate how much is zakah. Certain types of fruits, the harvest is 2 times. One in the beginning of the year, the other one in the end of the year. So we have to combine the harvest of the beginning of the year and the ending of the year. For example, in the beginning of the year, we get 3 awsuq. The ending of the year, 3 awsuq. Then khalas, he has to pay the zakah for everything. Wallahu a'lam bis-sawab. So inshallah ta'ala, we will stop here and we will continue in the next lesson, inshallah ta'ala. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Rabbana atina fi dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.